For my formative assessment, I focused on 3 major skills in my 10th grade English Language Arts unit: determining theme or central idea, using strong textual evidence and making inferences, and developing an argument supported by evidence. For the digital formative assessment, I selected textual evidence and inference as the focus. Students will complete the assessment using Google Forms. The assessment includes 3 questions at different levels of cognitive demand. The first question asks students to identify information that is explicitly stated in the text. The second asks students to make an inference about a character's motivation and support that inference with textual evidence. The third question asks students to evaluate 2 possible interpretations and determine which one is better supported by the text. Feedback will be provided throughout the assessment. Students will receive immediate feedback on questions that can be automatically scored, while I will review their written responses and provide specific comments. Instead of simply telling students whether an answer is correct or incorrect, I will identify what they did well and provide a clear next step. So, for example, if a student makes a reasonable inference but does not provide enough evidence, I might tell the student that their interpretation is strong and ask them to return to the text to identify a specific detail that supports their thinking. I will look at the assessment data by individual skill rather than relying on an overall score. I will consider students to be demonstrating mastery when they can accurately identify information from the text, make reasonable inferences, select relevant evidence, and explain how that evidence supports their interpretation. I would look for approximately 80% of students demonstrating proficiency before moving on to more complex applications of that skill. If most students demonstrate mastery, I will move forward with more challenging texts and activities that require students to compare interpretations and develop arguments. If a smaller group of students continues to struggle, I will provide targeted small group instruction, additional modeling, and guided practice. If a large number of students demonstrate the same misconception, I will reteach that skill to the entire class using a different text and another formative assessment. I will communicate progress to students regularly by reviewing formative assessment results, discussing strengths and areas for improvement, and giving students opportunities to revise their work. Formative assessment should help students understand where they are in their learning and what they can do to improve. I will communicate student progress with parents or guardians according to school policies and established communication procedures. I will focus on meaningful information, including student strengths, areas for growth, and specific strategies that can support continued learning. Finally, I will report assessment information ethically by protecting student privacy, communicating only with authorized individuals, and avoiding public comparisons between students. I will also make sure that the formative assessment results are used primarily to guide instruction and student growth rather than simply labeling students based on one assessment. Overall, the purpose of my formative assessment plan is to use assessment as part of instruction. This data will help me to determine what students understand, identify misconceptions early, provide meaningful feedback, and make instructional decisions that move students towards mastery.